Hello and welcome to Discovering Grayslake, unveiling the stories and people that make our town so unique. I'm your host, David Wool, and I'm thrilled to bring you this new podcast that explores fascinating stories and experiences of local business owners and community leaders, right here where we call home. Grayslake Rehabilitation Center is a community-based private practice physical therapy provider. Do you know they have 13 clinical providers with various levels of specialties, including orthopedics, sports, neurology, vestibular, geriatrics, pelvic floor, and aquatic? What? Did I just say they have a pool? Well, they do, and it's the largest indoor warm water pool in Lake County, featuring 2 underwater treadmills and swim currents. And recently added clinical treatment specialties, in layman's terms, shockwave. They have both radial and focus units that are the newest tool in regenerative medicine, available to everyone. They pride themselves on the most current and up-to-date specialized care to keep you moving. If you're looking for physical therapy, make sure to see our friends at Grayslake Rehabilitation. Wait. Grayslake has a record store? Are you ready to get into the groove? Well, I've got the perfect place for you with new and used vinyl, CDs, tapes, and more. At Andy's Records, they're not just about the hits. They're about the classics, the B-sides, the hidden gems, the vinyl vibes that make your heart skip a beat. For the record, Andy's is not your average music shop. It's a place where melodies meet memories. Andy's Records, because life sounds better with a little spin. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Discovering Grayslake. I am recording here from Agora on the corner of Center Street and Atkinson. Thank you to Luke for having us here. If you don't know about Agora, Agora is a co-working space, so if you need to get out of the house for a day, even rent a place for an hour or to find a lifelong home, Agora is a great place to do that. So thank you to Agora for having us here. I am honored to have Cathy Santelle here with me today. Cathy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so the reason I have you here is because you are the principal at Woodview School.
I am.
Okay, for a couple more days. Well, actually, when we air this, you might not be anymore.
Yeah, well, it's soon coming to an end, but yes.
Okay, so how many years at Woodview?
At least 10. Kind of lost track along the way, but I've been in the district for 26. So 26
years in the Grayslake district.
Yes.
All right, so let's go back before we talk about being a principal.
Okay.
Okay, so I have the research, and I asked you to write down a couple of things for me. And the funny thing is that what struck me the most is that you've never not gone to school.
That's very true.
So take me through your schooling career.
Yeah, so
anyway.
You start school and you go through kindergarten through 8th grade, and then of course you go to high school, and then you go to college, which I did. I went to National College of Education, which was changed to National Louis University, but when I went there it was called National College of Education. So worked on my undergrad, and then, when you graduate in education, you hope to get a job in a school, right? So
Sure.
That's what happened, fortunately. And then I kept going to school. So I went and got a master's in reading while I was teaching, so never left school, and then went on to get a master's in administration.
So you were at school actually when you weren't in school.
Yeah,
you were at school.
I was doing 2 schools twice, during the day and at night. So yeah, definitely. I've never left school.
Okay, so you, reading? Is that
so yeah, master's in reading. So I was a reading specialist for a while, and then a master's in administration. So That's what we do.
Okay, so you, at one point, you wanted to be in administration, obviously.
I did. Yes. So it was kind of a logical jump because I was doing a lot of work as a reading specialist, and then I would do summer school. So in our district, we had summer school, and I had applied to be the director of summer school, and so that kind of gave me a little taste of what it would be like to be an administrator.
Right, obviously you liked that.
At a small scale, yeah. I liked it enough to keep doing it. And so just kept working on my degree and eventually became an assistant principal.
Okay, where were you the assistant principal?
At Frederick School.
Oh, you were at Frederick.
Yeah,
You're the
I was
assistant
at
principal.
Frederick. Yes, for 8 years I was there.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Okay, and then obviously the Woodview position
and then
comes
on
available.
to Woodview, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you took that job at Woodview, because obviously everybody that's been in town forever and people have gone there, like, that's a really cool job to have.
It's a really cool job. A lot of history, a neighborhood school that is so fun. Even days where I think, it's a hard job, but it's a fun job because the people in the community are just amazing. You get a ton of people that come back as parents. So they go to school in the community, and then they get married and have kids and raise their kids and send their kids to Grayslake schools. So.
Right. So I'm assuming with that also that you've had like obviously all the siblings.
All the siblings. It's kind of hard to remember because, you have older siblings and then you start calling them different names. The younger siblings come up and then you kind of flip their names around and, yeah, I had your brother, I had your sister. But I have a couple stories where when I first started teaching, because I started teaching in the district first, I was a teacher over at Meadowview. And I had a whole class of kids that grew up. A couple became teachers. Oh. And then a lot of them kind of came back, and a few of them work for the district now. So it's sort of interesting.
So you taught kids that are teaching in the district now.
And I've actually hired people that were my students. So
did they put you down as a reference?
Of course. I was a good reference for myself, so that was good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's cool. And there is something very unique about Woodview. When I talk to people from other communities and everything, it's kind of hard to explain with our school being there, because I used to live like 2 doors down from it, and obviously both my kids went there, that it really has a different feel to it of community that you don't see a whole lot of other places.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I know that there's so many parents that invest their time. So, when I first started, it was nothing to have, 10 or 15 volunteers in the school a day. How can we help? What can we do? Everyone wanted to be at Woodview. Everybody wanted to help out. And all the cool events that we have, people want to be there and assist with that. But even in the classrooms, they want to be in the rooms helping those teachers. And so there's this really unique feel about the community and the families. I always like to tell people when I'm telling them about coming to Woodview and I'm kind of promoting the school and talking it up, is that it's a real family feel. And you get that impression right when you walk in the door. I think you get that impression from the staff, because the staff is one big happy family, and I know you know many of them. So you know how close staff can get, and ours is certainly very close.
Yeah, and I will have to give it that at Barnfest this year, when they're taking pictures and everything, the Woodview staff was the craziest.
Yeah, always the craziest.
Are you looking for a great time right in the heart of our awesome community? Well, look no further than the Grayslake Village Center, your one-stop destination for all things fun and fabulous. Picture this: historical downtown vibes with a mix of diverse businesses, an array of unique shops, and delicious restaurants. Many with outdoor seating, with an option to soak up the sun or shade. But that's not all. The Village Center is where the action is. And just like the weather, it's definitely heating up. There are events that take place all year round for the whole family. But now, you'll even have more options. Fill up your calendar with things to do. Also, take a stroll through Central Park, Gelatin Park, surrounding trails, green spaces, and more activities to keep you and your friends and family active all summer long. And now that the weather is warming up, dive into the Aquatic Center, open Memorial Day to Labor Day. But wait, there is more. Visit GrayslakeVillageCenter.com to discover an incredible lineup of events that are happening every month. Be in the know. Not sure what you're waiting for, so come on down, soak up the local vibes, and enjoy the experience that's unmistakably local and uniquely Grayslake. Grayslake Village Center, where the fun never stops.
We always stay the longest. We're always the loudest, but we have the most participation. So you gotta, give us credit for that. So
yeah, and it's really cool because a lot of the teachers, like, you have a staff that's been there a long time.
Right.
Even now when I'm asking people, well, who does your kid have? They're the same ones that my 20-year-old had. It seems like a lot of things stay the same.
Yeah, and a lot of our staff have even had kids kind of come through the system.
Right.
Where their kids were former students and they've grown up and moved on, but it is one big happy family.
It really is.
Yeah,
that's cool. And I like to hear Becca Feldman would say she remembers and the teachers love having the siblings. And it's a really cool because it takes a lot to be a teacher, but it must be very interesting managing all of these because they all have unique personalities.
For sure. And Becca Feldman actually met her husband teaching at Woodview School.
I know, and I got to do their wedding too.
Yeah, isn't that great?
It is great.
And they're still happily married with wonderful children, and so yeah, it's kind of fun how those relationships build.
It is. Now, speaking of people meeting, how did you meet your husband?
My husband is a former teacher as well, and we actually met when we were both teaching in the Skokie Morton Grove district.
Okay.
And it was a blind date. Somebody set us up, and so we met. We've been married now for almost 32 years.
Congratulations.
But we actually worked in the same district together. And so at first we didn't really share that information. It was kind of a secret. We secretly dated
Right.
for a little while. And then we're married. And then it was nice because he was an 8th grade teacher and I was a 3rd grade teacher. And so I had a lot of students that he would eventually get when they went to 8th grade. So we knew a lot of the same families. Also a great community. We left there just because we needed to build a house somewhere where we could afford a house. But same kind of community feel, where we knew a lot of families and shared relationships with, different families. And so it was a really warm environment there too.
Right. Now, you have, how many children do you have?
I have two.
Two.
I have a son named Danny. And I hate to say it, but he's 30. So that makes me feel really old. And then I have a 29-year-old. So they're 15 months apart.
Wow.
And they went to Grayslake schools. And so they went through Meadowview. Actually, they first started at Woodview.
Interesting.
So one thing I don't know if you knew, but Woodview used to be the kindergarten hub for the whole district. So every kindergartner went to Woodview School for a certain period of time. And then they would go back to their home schools. So both my kids went to Woodview for kindergarten and then back to their neighborhood school, which for me is Meadowview, the Meadowview neighborhood. So Woodview, I always talk about Woodview as being like the place that knows kindergartners the best because we were experts in that area for a long time.
Yes. And I always find it funny, even looking back and things we've talked about, that at one point when Woodview was closed.
Yeah.
I still can't even fathom that. Anybody that's new.
If you know Grayslake, the history of just having to close down a school, it's kind of hard to believe that because, there's just so many kids. But there was a period of time where they had to close down schools just because the enrollment was down.
Right.
And so that's a weird history, but it is part of our history. And the cool part about the school is we always have people come back. And so whenever there's a reunion, like a high school reunion over at Central, I get a phone call and they say the people that are in for this high school reunion, whatever year it is, they want to come to Woodview. They want to check out the school. So then I have to do my own little tour of Woodview School for these people who were there, 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's like, and they remember and they'll tell you like, my classroom was right here and this was my teacher. And
isn't that crazy?
And it's so fun that they come back for a high school reunion, but they want to see their elementary school.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It says that somebody's doing a great job over there.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so why retire now?
So why retire now? So that's a great question. And I think about it a lot because I think about like when we always think about the age of retiring, right? Like how old you need to be to retire.
Sure.
I've done this for 34 years.
Wow.
And so even though I like to think of myself as young, I still feel like I've done this for so long that I really want to try something new. I want to move on and try another chapter and do something different. I don't know what that is yet.
I was going to say, what does that chapter look like?
I don't know what that is yet, but maybe I'll come up with it before we leave today.
Right, but isn't that it's actually kind of fun, right?
Yeah, it is fun.
That you're retiring, but then you can...
and I'm young enough to do
and you can do
stuff.
whatever you want.
Education takes a lot of energy, right? And when you do it for a long time, you start to realize that, it's hard work and you have to be energetic and you have to be on and you have to be there for the kids. And you get to a certain point when you're like, maybe somebody else has more energy than me. I don't know, but I'm ready. I'm ready to do something different. I'm ready to make room for someone else to come in that has more energy than me, maybe.
Sure. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, you'll meet somebody that has more energy.
Principals really aren't supposed to be as happy as you, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful. I think, and I'm glad that you asked me to come in because, like you start to get really philosophical when you start to retire and you start thinking about all the things that you've done in your whole career. And mostly I just like to think about how lucky I've been. I've been so lucky just to have people that I enjoy working with every day. There's a lot of talented teachers out there, a lot of talented educators, and I've worked with many of them. And so I really just think it's time to be reflective and think back about all the great things I've had to experience, and just I've had a lot of great opportunities. And so I'm really proud of what I've done. I'm proud of the people that I work with every day. I don't know how they do it.
I don't either.
Oftentimes they'll ask me, like, how do you do your job? And I want to turn around and say, how do you do your job? I've done it. I know. Right. It's not easy. So I'm just really grateful. I'm grateful for the people that I've gotten to know over the years, the families. My PTO, which is weird. Last night I went to I think I counted 125th PTO meeting.
You're going to be sad to have those gone?
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like, in a way, I'm going to be sad because our PTO, I don't know, Woodview PTO is amazing. Shout out to them because they really run the place. And they just tell me, like, hey, we have this great idea. And I'll say, sounds good. Let's offer it up. And so over the years, they've brought in some pretty amazing programs for our kids. And, it makes me look good, but they do a lot of the work behind the scenes. Right. And then I just kind of show up and I'm like, oh, this is a great event. I love it. But a lot of work that they put into it is really because they're passionate about the school and they want to see the kids not only do well academically, but all the fun activities that they do really make school what it is for them.
Yeah, since we're talking about that, we might as well, because I know that I've actually got to be involved in a lot of these, which are really fun. So do you have a favorite activity that goes on?
Well, I have a lot of favorite activities, but I would say the one that really kind of brings the community together is our Exploration Day.
Yes.
And every school in the district has a variation of this, right? So we all call it something different, but at Woodview it's Exploration Day. And the great part about that day is it brings together people from the community, all different jobs, all different titles, all different careers. And it's sort of like a career day, but it's like a career day on steroids because kids are doing things that they wouldn't normally get to do. And over the years, I've tamed it down a little bit. There were some years where we had horses out back and we had we have canine dogs in one room and we've got ice cream making going on. And so there's a lot of great activities and kids get to choose. Right. And so I think that's their favorite day.
I got to do it for 3 years and we had the kids DJ.
Yeah.
Which was super
fun. So Dave, you were DJing and I remember it's like we all try to cram into a small space and do so many things. And you were in a classroom DJing with kids. But that was a choice. They got to pick if they wanted to do that.
That's so cool. We're taking a quick break just to say hello because everybody knows Nano, and Nano knows real estate. And actually, I believe that's the name of her Instagram page. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or know somebody in the market for a home, contact Nano from Baird & Warner. She's a Grayslake girl helping out Grayslake people.
Yeah, and so they spend this whole day working with people from the community, and they get to go from class to class or session to session. And so they get to do all these really cool things. And if you ask any student, any former student from Woodview, probably what their favorite day would be, I bet they would say it was Exploration Day. And all of that is orchestrated by our amazing PTOs over the years. Wow. So,
and that's a lot to put together.
It's a lot. It's a lot of coordination.
Not even getting the people to come talk, but having the people and finding out which classes they're going to or which things they're doing.
Exactly. We obviously had, like I said, animals and things like that, but we've had some, guest speakers in, we've had authors in, we've had just so many different careers. Yeah. And the kids get a chance to see what it's really like to work in a different field, or maybe they hadn't thought about something before, like DJing. Maybe they never thought about that. And so they get to try it out for, 40 minutes and see what it's like. So.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so now speaking of events, I'm going to tell you, last week I was walking around into a new business in town, and this teenage girl came up to me, and she goes, "Hello, Mr. Wool." I was like, hey, that's my dad, by the way. But she's like, "I totally remember you from Woodview that used to run the lip sync shows."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about lip sync.
Oh, my gosh. Do you still do lip sync?
We have not done lip sync since, I think, probably pre-pandemic. But lip sync was an event where every kid wanted to be on stage singing. And then, of course, we'd have teacher groups. And, teachers, they love to be on stage performing, right? But we would take it so seriously. We would practice because we didn't want to look like fools in front of everyone. But the kids would get up there and they would sing and dance and do their thing. And kids that you wouldn't even expect, kids that are quiet in class or, would never raise their hand. They'd be up there, lip syncing away and dancing. And,
it takes guts to get up there and do that.
Sure does. In front of all your friends.
And family, and this place is packed.
Yeah. And they, of course, would dress up. So it was always the costumes or the themes or whatever it was. And we even had our bus drivers a couple years come in. And so the bus drivers actually got involved, and they had their own act. And they would come in and lip sync, and the kids would just go nuts because here's their bus drivers, dressed up and,
Right.
on stage. And it's great. It was a great event.
Yeah, no, you guys do so many fun things there, and I'm looking through a list right now. I don't want to get to that one quite yet, but the fun run was always
The fun run is it started off we're trying to think of something meaningful to do during like Red Ribbon Week, which is drug awareness and not necessarily appropriate for K through 4 to be talking about that, but obviously we wanted to educate kids. And then we started making a shift to more of a wellness approach.
Okay.
So it was like, how can we think about, doing things that could improve our fitness, our bodies, our wellness. And so one of our, again, PTO members brought it in, makes me look good every time, brought in the idea of doing a fun run as a fundraiser. And we did it. And, I had no idea what to expect, but we had, parents involved, and we had, parents wanted to run. We were like, okay, if you want to run, go for it. And the kids, they run around our school, and we all have a fun run t-shirt that kind of just peps us up that day. And then we've had the fire department come out. We've had the police department come out. We have music playing, and it's just a fun day of fitness, wellness. We set up stations, so kids will loop around the building and then go to a station. And some of those stations are probably their favorite activities. And so it's just a really fun day, a lot of energy, and you were gracious enough to film them a couple of times,
yes,
I think, for us, and DJ'd, They
were really great, and the activities that you're mentioning too. These are things these kids remember. If a kid's listening there who's in high school or college or whatever, they remember those days because they were so fun, and you guys did them so well.
Yeah, and the great part about it is, the fundraising part was really secondary, but the cool part about the fundraising is people just rally around a cause, right?
Right.
And so we were able to bring in a lot of pieces of equipment for our playground. And, once parents hear like, hey, we're improving the school, we're bringing in equipment, we're doing things, they really want to get involved. And so then you've got the grandparents pitching in, and their, the aunts and uncles. And, but it was a great fundraiser. We've got a lot accomplished, but I think kids really just remember it as being a day that they
thought
love.
It was just fun.
Absolutely love.
Right.
Yeah.
So other things we have, like the outdoor classroom.
Yeah.
And I know that we have the wellness night and reading night. Oh my gosh, and dodgeball.
Yeah, dodgeball.
Oh my gosh.
Have you been to dodgeball? You've been to dodgeball.
Yeah. Just have a medic
I'm just going to say this out loud, that I'm very uncomfortable with dodgeball.
Yeah, I am.
Because I never wanted to be the principal who wiped a kid out by throwing a dodgeball, right?
Course.
Like, that was not something I needed to read about in the newspaper the next day.
You can be remembered for a lot of things, but maybe not that.
And my teachers would come to these events, and they would get into it. The principal before me got into it, so I kind of felt like I had to inherit that. I had to enjoy it whether I liked it or not. But the kids just love being able to like throw dodgeballs at their teacher, and the parents come out, and then we usually do an alumni thing. So there are kids that are, that were at Woodview years ago, and they kind of show up with siblings, and then they get to throw dodgeballs. And
tradition.
It's a tradition. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay, so my favorite thing that you do, and I don't know when this started or whatever, but one of the coolest and most emotional things you do, is the clap out that I think that everybody remembers. Even being a spectator, that is emotional and it's super cool.
It is. Again, another idea brought in by a parent who had seen it somewhere else. But what we do, we started off, it was a secret. The fourth graders didn't know about it. But then after years, they kind of catch on and expect it. But the clap out is a great event. We do it the last day of school. And, we don't have a graduation in fourth grade, right? It's just you leave fourth grade and you move on to fifth grade. But some of those kids have been there since kindergarten. Yeah. And so that's 5 years of being in a place where they're super comfortable. They know everyone. And so the clap out is an event where the whole school gathers. And we've moved it from inside to outside. Just because we've outgrown our space.
Interesting.
And so now we're outside, and we circle the perimeter of our playground, and then we call the fourth graders out, and they walk past all their classmates. And when they're walking past their classmates, everyone's clapping, and they just keep clapping, and it goes on for minutes and minutes, and we have music playing, and parents get to show up, and so it's really touching. And some kids cry, some kids are happy, they're excited. But every single classmate is just showing their respect and their love for their classmates, and so they're clapping them out, and that's kind of a great way for them to end their experience at Woodview.
Yeah, and all of these events that we've talked about, because those are the parents are as much as involved also.
For sure.
But I think this is really a huge way of building a community of a school, why it's so respected and why everybody wants to come there for their class reunion.
Absolutely.
Because these are huge, huge things.
Yeah.
So your PTO, obviously, I
always give them credit. They're amazing, and they come up with ideas all the time, and I'm just happy to support them.
Okay, so what do you think that you're most, looking back, and I know this time of reflection for you, that most rewarding part of your job you've done at Woodview?
Wow, it's hard to say one thing. I just think just being able to do something every day that I love. There's nothing like talking to a 6-year-old. Right? Absolutely. And so you can come into work and you could have all this baggage and all these things happening in your life. And then you see a 6-year-old and they tell you a joke or they say something funny. Or today they handed me this little card that they had made with, just like a couple words on it, but they were so intent on delivering it to me. Right? And so every day I get to see kids and, they tell stories and they share things. And so I think the most rewarding thing is just like thinking back about how many kids I've known over the years, whether they've stayed in the community or not, like I think of the hundreds of kids from the time I started back at Meadowview, all the way till now. If I think about the hundreds of kids that I've had a chance to meet. Thousands of kids.
Yeah.
And my 2 kids will always say to me, like, whenever we were out in public, I would say hi to kids because I just knew every kid, right?
You know everybody.
And so we would be out of town on vacation in Michigan somewhere, and I'd say hi to a kid, and they'd be like, wait a minute, you know that kid too? And I'm like, no, I'm friendly to all kids. Like I see kids, and then they would say, Mom, that's creepy and weird. Like stop saying hi to kids. But I can't help it. Like I see a kid and I have to say hi and I have to like engage.
Should learn that.
I just feel like it's one of those things where you could always be that smiling, friendly face, and Absolutely. a kid recognizes that right away.
Hey neighbors, this is Bill Mock with the Grayslake Chamber of Commerce. And if you're looking for a network of hard-working, customer-focused, and generally friendly local businesses who are dedicated to helping each other succeed, then I'd like to invite you to check out and consider joining our Grayslake Chamber. We offer our members so many ways to advance their businesses through social networking events, special event sponsorships, informative lunch and learns, and the ever-popular after-hours mixers. Come see why we say we're the new wave of business here in Lake County.
Okay, so that's the most. What was the most challenging thing over the years?
Well, the pandemic was challenging.
Yeah. I want to touch on that too, because that must have been like nobody knew it was coming, but then I'm sure that you had to make all kinds of decisions.
Yeah, and making decisions that we didn't know whether or not they were good decisions, right? Like you're making a decision because you know what you know in the moment. Right. And I think the hardest part about that is kind of, going back to what we were talking about earlier. It's like all the things that we couldn't do, right? It was all those things that we had to postpone or that we, the traditions and the things that we liked to do, but we couldn't do because we couldn't be together. And school is so social. And, no matter how hard those teachers worked to be online and learning virtually, they weren't together. The kids weren't together. Right. They were on a screen. And so that was really tough. We made the most of it. I think we did the best job we could with what we had. But it was hard not being around people. When you're used to being around 400, I'm around 400 people a day.
Oh my gosh.
All the faces I get to see and talk to. And then to know that all those 400 kids are, isolated in their house, and not together and not learning the way that we enjoy learning, right?
Right. And everybody's going to look back at this. All that stuff is going to be in history books that these kids are going to learn about, and we got to live through it, and you got to have to run the circus.
Yeah.
And how was that? I had high school kids at that point that were doing it, and they adapted okay with it. But I can't imagine kindergartners, first graders, like
Yeah.
being online to learn. That had to be super challenging
They
for
are
teachers.
amazing because, if you ever are confused about how to run anything with technology, you ask a first grader or a second grader because they're familiar. So I think the technology side of it, they did really well with. But it's they can't play at recess with their friends.
I know.
And so recess was, turn off your screen for a while and take a break outside. And so they lost a lot of that, socialization, which was tough.
Right.
But we learned a lot of things too. Like, I try to come up with the positives, and
Sure.
there are definitely things I think about in education that we don't have to go back to. Like we do things because things are traditional and we like to do things a certain way and we think it's the best way.
Right.
And then when our world gets rocked and we have to think about things differently, we start going, oh, wait, do I really need 400 kids in one big gym for an assembly at the same time? Probably not. I could probably figure out something different. Or, all the different things that you think are so important become less important. And so, just kind of shifting your thinking and what school could really look like and how, I don't think we're ever going to go back to not having a device in front of us, right? Like that's something that I didn't think if you told me 10 years ago that every kiddo would be walking around holding a Chromebook or a device and using it as a tool.
Right.
We're not going to go back, right? We're going to use them as tools, but we learned a lot for sure.
And how was that challenging wise? Because I'm sure everybody wasn't. I mean, because we know how the public is in general, and you have to deal with the public all the time. That I'm sure that there's things that weren't easy for you to dealing with parents that maybe didn't agree.
Trying to make things as equal as possible. Like we had several days where it was like drive through the front end of Woodview and we're going to hand you a supply pack of things that you might need at home because maybe you don't have construction paper, or just things like that we had to think about. Like, how can we get school in the hands of everybody?
Wow.
And so we had a couple of days where we were actually out, in our front drive as cars were coming through and we had it all organized and you were coming at this time and you're coming at that time. And we would physically hand them through the window, like materials that they needed. And so that was wild. That was really wild.
Wow. And enough parents probably have enough trouble when they're at school and have everything. So when they actually have to deal with it at home, it's probably a big deal.
For sure.
Wow. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break here because I know that you may or may not. I know you've listened to at least one podcast, right?
Yes.
And who did you listen to?
I listened to Jody Sinkmars.
Jody.
And she's my friend from way back. And actually, Jody took over my spot at Frederick School.
Assistant principal.
Yeah, so I was the assistant principal with Eric Detweiler for many years.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Woodview, Jody took my spot. And so Jody and I always talk about what May looks like because she didn't know until she started. And her comment was always like, nobody told me what May is like as a principal. So it's, I think about her every May. So I listened to her.
And it is May.
Yeah,
so I'm sure
May.
Your life is a little crazy right now, I'm sure. All right. So we're going to do our hot seat questions with Cathy. It's time for the Grayslake Hot Seat. The Grayslake Hot Seat today is brought to you by Premier Chiropractic. Dr. John, conveniently located in historical downtown Grayslake. Premier Chiropractic offers you a full range of chiropractic care. John is dedicated to treating people within our community and showing them the benefit of great, convenient, affordable chiropractic care. So if you're looking to get straightened out, go see Dr. John at Premier Chiropractic. Now for the Grayslake Hot Seat. All right, I'm going to jump around here because you probably practiced at home or something. I'm going to start off with, what was your first car?
A Pontiac Grand Am.
Really? What year was it? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Must have been 89 or 90. I don't know. 90.
That's not a bad first. That's not a bad first car. Do you have a hidden talent that people don't know?
I don't know if it's a talent, but I love to cook, and so I make everything. And I am not afraid of trying any recipe. So you give me a recipe, as complicated as it might be, I will tackle it.
It is a talent because I do not possess that talent. Would the 12-year-old version of yourself think you're cool?
Now? I don't know. Maybe.
That's a hard question.
It is a hard question.
What do you wish you learned sooner in life?
I wish I learned to slow down. Like, I feel like I've spent a lot of my life just rushing and, doing all kinds of things and trying to cram so much in. So maybe just to slow down and be more present.
Amen. I always say that I'm so busy getting ready for tomorrow that I don't get today's tasks done.
You're right. And you don't appreciate it.
No.
Right?
So slow down, everybody.
Slow down.
That's right. If you had to write a book, what would it be about?
About my job as a principal.
Yeah.
And my staff, they're amazing, and they've made this last year just incredible, and they've celebrated me every month. They've pranked me a few times. They've decorated my office a few different ways. But they all bought T-shirts, and the T-shirts that they bought say Santelle's Spectacular Send-Off. Oh. And they just wear them on certain days. And so I'll show up at work and I'll walk in and everybody's got their red shirt on. And so that's kind of fun. That's been really amazing to see. So I appreciate them.
That's awesome. So your book's going to be about being a principal.
Yeah. And they gave me notebooks. Part of one of my gifts was just notebooks about, writing some things down, like, stories that, I might have to tell someday, and some kind of a memoir. I don't know.
I think you should do that, though. Maybe that's what you can do while you're deciding what you're going to do.
Yeah. We say in education, like, you just can't make this up. Like, when things happen during the day, sometimes I look around, I'm thinking, like, is there a camera somewhere? Because I'm pretty sure someone is setting me up, right? And I'm going to turn around, there's going to be a camera filming this, because some things get so crazy, you can't believe they're happening.
I can't even imagine. And we're going to get to a couple of those stories, too.
Okay.
If you had to have one superpower, what would it be?
Speed. Again, I'd like to slow down, but I'd like to also be able to go places quickly
get it done faster.
Yeah.
Right. It's a really good idea. Tell me a place like to travel that you haven't been.
I'm going to be traveling to Italy very soon.
Awesome.
And so I've been looking forward to that my whole life.
Yeah.
Thinking about it. My grandparents were from Italy, and always wanted to go and visit, and I'm going to do it.
Good for you. Is that like your retirement gift to
It
yourself?
It's totally a retirement gift to myself.
How long are you going to go for?
3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can do a lot in 3 weeks.
I know. I could eat a lot of pasta and gelato in 3 weeks.
This is true. But you need to slow down while you're eating the gelato.
That's the problem. I think I want to see too many things.
Yeah.
And so I think it's that same problem is going to happen. I might be trying to cram too much in. But
right. And you have to plan how many gelatos a day.
Yeah.
And then you can space those out too.
Right, for sure.
That's good. That's part of the thing. Okay, who's the funniest person that you know?
Oh my.
Some people have an answer right away, but the fact that you're laughing about it when you're going to say.
I'm going to tell you, like, collectively, kids are the funniest people I know, because they come up with things that adults could never come up with. And, parents need to know this, because their kids are at school telling very funny stories, possibly about their family.
Right, you better be careful.
So be careful what you're doing at home, because kids will turn it into a hilarious story.
That's awesome.
I'm going to miss that. That's the one thing I am going to miss.
I'm sure. And on the daily, you probably could write. You should have been writing all these things down over the years.
And then, like, you go somewhere in public and you try to tell these stories, and nobody else thinks it's funny but you. Nobody cares about, jokes from a third grader. Right?
Well, I can see why you like your job, because it's got to be interesting every day.
That's where my humor level is right about that third grade level.
I think most of us need to have that humor level. It make life a lot more fun.
For sure.
All right, so you have to have a theme party at your house. What kind of a theme party are you going to have?
Oh, all right. Well, my theme party would probably revolve around having people cook with me.
I was going to say, what is it going to have to do with cooking?
Yeah,
but yeah,
it will. So, I like to see people in a situation where they're in charge of cooking something.
Okay.
And see how they handle it. It's kind of fun to watch that.
Wow. I don't want to be invited to that party. You said, like, oh, that'll be fun.
I'm not sure if the food will be any good, but it'll be fun to watch people try to pull that off.
You didn't say we had to eat it.
No, right.
Just cook it. 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
I'm a 10.
All right. I believe you.
Can you believe that I've never had a ticket?
Now knock on something right now. Yes, thank you.
Never had a ticket in my life.
Really?
And so I have been pulled over. And I point that out when I've been pulled over.
Oh.
And then I don't get a ticket.
Right. So it's not the fact that you're a good driver, it's that you know how to talk your way out of the ticket.
I actually got pulled over on the way to an administrator meeting, and in the back seat, I had baked these cherry pies for everyone.
Uh-huh.
And so
did you give one?
I offered.
Bribery.
But here's another thing about working in Grayslake. We know all the police, right? Like,
right.
They're in and out of schools. Not that there's a lot going on, but we get to know some of the officers. And once they know what you do for a living, they're like, go. Just go. You're okay. Yeah, go to your meeting. It's okay.
I'm sure. So did you give away a pie that day or no?
He did not take the pie, but I did get to my administrative meeting a little late. But a good story to tell, though.
It is. Did you play a sport in high school or a club or music or anything like that?
I was not athletic at all, but I was in student council.
Okay. And
so I planned fun activities.
Wait, you wanted to be in charge of the school?
I wanted to be in charge of a school.
I see how this happens now.
I went to, so I grew up in the Wheeling area, and I went to Wheeling High School, and I was in student council, and we were having, our homecoming parade, which student council's in charge of running a lot of it. And I think it was either my junior or senior year, and the person who was supposed to show up to dress up as Willie the Wildcat did not show up.
Uh-oh.
Probably some football player that was busy and didn't show up. And so I had to get into this Wildcat costume, which was way too big on me.
Right.
And at the time, our parades, you sat in, like in convertibles. Like the convertibles were like part of the big parade.
Sure.
And so I had a Willie Wildcat costume on and sat in the back of a convertible. And the whole time, my head bobbing backwards. But it was the coolest experience ever because that was the first time I ever got to be in a parade.
Wow. And nobody knew it.
Nobody knew it. But I do love parades. Even in Grayslake, I try to get to anyone that I can get to.
Okay, so that's a good transition. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite Grayslake event to attend?
A parade, without a doubt.
Really?
Yeah. We had 1 year, I actually set up chairs for the Memorial Day parade.
Mm-hmm.
My kids were in it. So I had, my son was in band and my daughter was in Palms. And so I had to drop off my chairs because I had to get a good spot for the parade. But then I had to drive them to Central so that they could be, part of the parade. And when I got back, my chairs were gone.
Stop it. Somebody took your chairs?
Yeah, somebody took my chairs.
Who took your
I don't
chairs?
know, but it was Memorial Day. That was just not good.
No.
So, yeah.
Return the chairs.
So my family never lets me forget. Don't set up your chairs early for a parade because they may not be there.
They'll be taken. The show's supposed to be how Grayslake is so great.
How it's
right?
so great, but somebody took my chairs.
Right.
So if you have my chairs, give them back.
Or they can set them up on Memorial Day for you, and then you'll have a spot. Just put stake with your name in it.
Exactly.
Okay. So parade's favorite.
Yeah.
I haven't had anybody say parade yet, which is very cool.
Parade.
Okay. So when you eat tacos, do you tilt your head to the right or the left? These are very important questions. Right.
I think left.
Left. All right.
And then I spill it all over my shirt.
Of course. That's just the way it's done.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. If you had to bring somebody from out of town that's never been to Grayslake before, where would you take them first, besides Woodview?
Well, on the way to Woodview,
Mm-hmm.
we would stop at Sammy's.
Oh.
So my kids, when they went to college,
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I consider myself to be a pretty good cook. And
Right.
so when they would come home, I would think about all the meals that they missed at school and what I can make for them and how I could cook for them. And we'd be in the car and they'd be like, we just want to go to Sammy's.
Right.
So we'd go to Sammy's. And so that's the first stop in town, on 120. You're just stop and pick up an Italian beef or a gyro. And
isn't it funny how kids think you want to cook them this great home cooked meal?
They don't want their mom's food. They just want Sammy's. So
that's hilarious.
Can't compete.
Favorite vacation you've ever taken so far?
Hawaii.
You got to go.
Been to Hawaii twice.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, fill in the blank on this one. Hey, bartender, can I have a
gin and tonic?
I saw you the other day
That's
at the
my
Vine.
thing, yeah.
Right. Is that what you were drinking that day?
That was what I was drinking that
That's
day.
good.
And it was actually my signature drink at Barnfest,
Yes.
which was so stressful to be a bartender, by the way.
Yes, okay, so when I was doing the video for that, I have a video of you serving,
Whew.
but I thought it was inappropriate that we would put that out for everybody to see. So it was
Was
stressful.
it me spilling? Was it me?
No, no, you were
I
actually just
didn't-
opening cans of beer or something.
Well,
at
they
that point.
they first said to me, they were trying to show me the cash register. And I was like, can I just pour drinks? Because, like, I didn't want to worry about credit cards and giving change back.
Right.
And then after a while, me pouring beers, they were like, maybe we should put her on the cash register.
Oh, really?
I don't think I was that bad, but it was definitely stressful.
How long did you have to do it?
It was 30 minutes, but it was the longest 30 minutes of my life.
Wow.
Did
Did you get to keep your
I
tips?
was working up a sweat. I didn't get any tips. Well, I shouldn't say. People gave me tips, but it was not cash. It was like they were telling me things, you know.
Would I be correct in saying that your next line of work will not be
It
a
will
bartender?
not be a bartender. No, too stressful.
What's your highest score in bowling?
I don't bowl.
No.
I wish I did.
No, maybe. Well, see, now you're going to
Yeah,
be retired.
now I got all the time in the world to bowl.
Just slow down.
I told
and
you I
bowl.
was not athletic
Right.
at all. Like, not one athletic bone in my body.
Are you an early bird or night owl?
Both.
Most people have no idea what to do with their aging loved one who needs help. Well, there is a solution. A company that provides care and assistance to make your loved one feel right at home. At Right at Home, their mission statement is to improve the quality of life for those they serve. They offer extensive services: personal and companion care, safety supervision and transportation, fall prevention, dressing and bathing assistance, medical reminders, meal prep, hospice support, ambulation support, stroke recovery, Parkinson's support. The list goes on and on and on. If you have an aging loved one that needs help, call Right at Home. Most people prefer to age in their home rather than moving to an assisted living or nursing home. Right at Home can make this happen. Contact Right at Home at rightathome.nlc.com or give them a call, 847-984-0103. Now back to the show. Wow.
So it shifted in life. So, like, when my kids were little, I would stay up late because it was quiet and I could get stuff done. Now I feel like I've got to get a jump start to the day, so I get up early. So I've done both.
Interesting.
I do like staying up late and getting caught in TV.
Exactly. What's the last show you binge watched then?
The last show, currently, we're actually watching the tail end of Abbott Elementary, because I never had seen that when it first came out.
Wow.
And so I would like to be the principal that Ava is, if you're familiar with Ava on
am
Abbott
not.
Elementary. If you ever catch it.
So
think about
when we
that.
said that if you're not in school, you're always in school. So even the shows you're watching are about school.
It is just a funny take on what schools are like.
Oh.
You know, so it's
Cool.
It's entertaining.
I see why you like it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that I know. So have you ever won an award?
In high school and college, yes.
Really? What were they for?
Being involved in things.
Really?
And planning and organizing things, yeah.
Right. And so looking back after everything, was your goal when you were going to school, did you say eventually you wanted to be a principal or no?
I did know. I
You
did know early on. I tell a story about how when I was a kid, I used to, in my bedroom, I would set up all my stuffed animals. And I would, like, put them in a little circle, and I was teaching them. But then I was the principal. And so I thought at that time that the principal had a microphone to make announcements.
Well, of course they should, yeah.
And a cash register. And that's what I thought the two things about being a principal was.
Right. And now we know you don't know how to work a cash register, so.
The cash register part did not come true. The microphone happens every now and then.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's great. That's funny because there's not a whole lot of people that know early on like what they're really going to, what they really want to be.
And I would, like, being bossy helps too, I think. So that was, as a kid, I was pretty bossy.
I'm sure all of your employees right now, the teachers at the school are like, okay. You don't seem like you're bossy.
I don't think I don't know, maybe I think I am bossy.
Or maybe you're just direct.
I admit it, I'm bossy.
I'm bossy.
It's just because my ideas are better, right? That's what bossy people say.
I know, people don't understand that.
They don't get it.
Yes, so now we know anyway. Do you have a nickname?
I don't.
You never have had a nickname.
I might after that. I might after this year.
Right. When you're gone and you're not the principal anymore. Or you'll find out what it was.
They'll come up with a lot of nicknames. Yeah. I should say nicknames I don't know about.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you'll just find out when you're done.
It'll all come back to me.
Have you ever met a celebrity?
No.
Really?
But I'd like to.
Okay. Well, another retirement.
Maybe in Italy.
Truth. I think you should make like a bucket list for your first year of retirement and how
I
all the
think.
things you want to do and just
Good
check
idea.
them off.
Good idea.
That might be kind of fun.
I will do that.
What's the last thing you purchased on Amazon?
Hairspray.
Hairspray.
I'm an 80s girl. Gotta have hairspray.
I would never do blank again.
Oh, I did practice this one because I was thinking about it.
Oh.
So when I first started at Woodview, Steve Feldman, we talked about him before.
Yeah.
He convinced me that the principal's job was to take a pie in the face as incentives for kids, right? Like, so they would earn things, and then like it was a fun event, and the kids would get a chance to throw pie in the principal's face. And pie meaning like whipped cream,
Just a
plate
pie,
of whipped cream. So I thought, oh, I gotta do this. I'm new. Like, how could I say no? It seems ridiculous, but okay, I guess I'll do it. And then the kids could put sprinkles on this whipped cream pie, and so they did. Lots of glitter and sprinkles and all kinds of things, and so of course, a pie in the face and sprinkles up the nose, and I smelled like dairy all day.
Oh my gosh. Just the smell of that you can't get off your face.
So if anyone ever asks you to do that, don't do it.
Okay.
It's not comfortable, but I would never do that again.
That's hilarious.
I learned really quickly, like either that was a rookie move and they set me up, or we needed to change the incentive plan for
right.
for the
and I'm
big
sure
time.
that Steve Feldman
Yeah.
he was probably not bamboozling you at
Not
all.
at all.
No.
Not at all.
He's a straight shooter. Well, thank you for answering those.
Sure.
Okay, so I wrote a couple notes down here that I want to talk about. So I find it really funny because when you say, from years of me doing like DJ work and being out and stuff, and when you say like things like, you can't even make this up, like crazy things. So I want to hear at least one good story of something absolutely crazy.
Okay. Well, every day is crazy, right? There's always something.
Or is that one that really sticks out that you're like, oh my gosh?
I have to leave names out to protect the innocent.
Okay. And they'll know who they are.
The innocent meaning my staff.
Right. And how innocent they are.
There isn't one story that sticks out, but I will tell you that my staff really enjoys hanging out together. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of sit back and I watch. We have a lot of staff parties that are fun. And so things are crazy and things, I think people who work together in an intense atmosphere also play hard together. Mm-hmm. And so, crazy stories about that I can really share, just letting people know that that they're a wild bunch, but they're a lot of fun, and I can't keep up with them. I cannot keep up with them. So it's time I move on because they're just, they wear me out.
Right. And it's funny that the craziest group at Barnfest was the Woodview teachers.
Yeah.
But that must be a direct connection between the ages that they teach, because everybody else teaches older kids. I mean, because you got to be crazy to teach that age, right? Right.
Well, it's fun. You play all day and you've got to kind of unwind a little bit. So they're a great bunch though.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
I will miss my staff a lot.
Yeah. And so how emotional is it going to be for you on your last day?
I don't know. The kids keep asking me. It's really funny because the kids will come up to me and they'll be like, "Are you sad that you're retiring?" And it depends on what moment,
Right. Heck no, I'm out of here.
Some days I'm like, "Oh yeah," and then other days I'm like, "I'm on my way to clean up something or do something," and it's going to be very emotional. I just think I got to prepare myself because, just knowing, like, I've been going through all of the lasts, like my last meeting here and my last music show and my last this and my last that, and I'm just going to miss all of it. So it's definitely emotional.
Yeah. Are they going to have a clap out for you?
I don't know.
I'm sure they got surprises.
Oh yeah, they've been pulling off a lot of surprises.
That's good. Do you have a retirement party planned?
I do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They've planned it.
I bet you that is going to be one hell of a party.
I always say I have no control over what they plan and what they do.
Right.
So it's going to be fun.
Wow. Okay. So whoever's planning this party, if they don't have music for that, I would love to donate my time just to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah. Right.
That would be super fun. Yeah. Okay. So as I'm looking through, like, there's so many things about your career that have been amazing. It sounds like it's interesting to me that you had such a direction at a young age to, like, really what you want to do, and the fact that you guys from where you're at wind up in Grayslake,
Yeah.
which is fantastic, and
Mm-hmm.
we're blessed to have you.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool thing. With all of this like wrapping up, I'm sure looking back, like you said, about reflection and all these things.
Yeah.
It sounds like Woodview is such a success because of what a great staff you have. You as the ringleader, so to say, of the circus.
I'm never in charge.
Right. But it's funny how your traditions and everything and
Yeah.
community involvement, because that people don't think, I think of your job but it's a huge success.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I knew that. Walking in the door, I knew that that part of my job was to keep that going. Part of the job was to keep those traditions alive, and to kind of be anchored in that community feeling, and just keep welcoming people in, and making sure that things included reaching out to the community and having the community come back, and
Right.
so hopefully that will keep going long after me.
I'm sure that it will.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to whoever your predecessor is going to be, but you have some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Especially with your relationships with all the teachers. I'm sure after a while that how every child needs to be, taught differently or handled differently. The same thing goes with all of your staff too, right?
Yeah. Just a lot of great relationships over the years. Like, I was just talking to my secretaries. I've had a lot of secretaries over the year, a lot of office staff, right, come through, and I'm still close with a lot of them. And so one of the favorite things that we do is whenever somebody celebrates a birthday, I make them their favorite cake or whatever it is.
Really?
And so everybody's got their favorite, and so I'll make that, and they're like, make sure you leave your recipes behind for the new principal so that he knows, what to serve them on their birthday.
So it has to be part of that interview process must
Yeah.
have to be if they know how to cook or not, or if they're a baker.
Yeah, I just made, we celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week.
Oh, that's right.
And so I like to cook for them, and so I made 15 pounds of mac and cheese for our staff, and so they got to
15
enjoy
pounds?
a mac and cheese bar. Yeah.
Oh my
so
gosh.
fun. They need food, right? Like they've got to
Yes.
have some food to keep them going. So
Right. Well, they have to be
enjoy that.
motivated one way or another.
Right,
and
exactly.
food does it for me
It
also.
sure does. Yeah.
Wow. Anything that you want to share with the community about the time that you've got to share with us, that you've given your life to
Yeah.
a big portion of your life to this town?
Yeah, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to be here. Just, moving into this community and being invested, just knowing that I've worked in the same community where I've lived. It's been important for me to have a good school system.
Right.
And, people come in all the time and they're looking around and they're looking at the schools, and, the schools really are a huge part of our community, and people come to the community because of schools.
Right.
And so hopefully I had a small part to play in some of that, but I hope that our schools keep going strong and that people keep coming to Grayslake, because it's a great place to raise your family and send your kids to school.
Yes. I'm fighting for my life to get my little guy to go to Woodview, by the way, because I really, really would love to see him there. It's such just a great experience.
Yeah.
And I know that probably most of the people listening to this right now either were involved working there or have kids there or went through themselves.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, it is my total pleasure. And I'm going to see you around. I can't wait to see what job you're gonna
I
do
know.
next.
I can't wait to see what I'm going to do next too.
I know. Let's get through Italy.
Yeah.
And
I'll
then
get through
you can
some
decide.
vacations, and then I can make a plan. But
And then I want to hear about your bucket list you're going to make
For
too.
sure.
I think you need to do like 50 things
Okay.
that don't involve cooking.
Oh, that's going to be tough. Okay, but I will.
Okay, I think that would be really fun. So thank you very much, and thank you for everything you've done.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Thank you. In Grayslake, thank you guys so much for listening. No matter where you guys are listening, whether you're on Apple, whether you're on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you might be listening, make sure to subscribe, because then you'll never miss an episode with somebody lovely from Grayslake, coming out every Tuesday at least. And I always end to make sure, we never know what your neighbors are going through, so at the end of the day, I challenge you to do at least one random act of kindness. Make somebody smile. Say hi to a child. Make them smile, because it's such a big deal. And I think the kindness spreads like wildfire. So go out there, do that. Keep making our community fantastic. So Grayslake, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see everybody next Tuesday.